the younger generation, a lot of us are still very proud of being Hmong.
I think that the past meaning of Hmong has changed too now, because within the last generation, back then were more strict, and yeah, the vibe I propose, and not more say that, oh, now we don't, but it's more loosening within our generation. And our generation now is looked upon as, oh, we don't really care, or we should get back into the mindset of, oh, we have a culture.
Yeah, it had. People back in the days believed in doing, keeping traditions and all that. And today it's like we're more modern. We don't know how to keep a tradition. And honestly, a lot of guys don't know how to kill pigs, do all that. And they don't know how to call the elders and do all that. And I believe that we should continue to do that. And it's more professional in a Hmong way. So, yeah.
The meaning of Hmong has changed over time, I think. What it means to my grandparents is different from what it means to my parents. And what it means to my parents is different to what it means to me. When I think about the word Hmong, it really defines them. It is who they are, what they eat, what they do, how they live. It is really about who we are. We have a lot of identity issues. We struggle with being cool, being popular, being in, keeping up with what's mainstream, and we really take the meaning of Hmong and put it towards a secondary status, where being Hmong is not the primary way to identify ourselves. We tend to blend ourselves with society more, and to me it seems like although the meaning of Hmong is important to us, and although being Hmong is something that we value, it's not something that we truly practice.
I think that the meaning of Hmong back then meant something different. They had statuses, they had clan groups, last names, and where you're from, like your village. And here it's different. Last names are just last names, and statuses don't mean much anymore. The meaning of Hmong will have different views. I can be Hmong, but I can be Americanized. I can be Hmong, but I'm from France. I can be Hmong, but I'm from Australia. And so there's many different meanings. Yeah, I think that the younger generations would take their last name and say, oh yeah, I have a last name and it's Hmong. But other than that, they're Americanized. And they're probably not going to need it as much. The language barrier is going to be less complicated because everybody speaks English now. And for the older generations, it meant it identified them. It defined who they were.
It's very important to preserve our culture and not just art but many culture, because it defines who we are. Being Hmong, like because if the Hmong people don't have the culture, then what is Hmong? What's original about it? There's nothing authentic to it.
I believe it's very important to preserve our culture because it's slowly disintegrating amongst, like our generations. And so I think it's very important, like the traditions that we hold, even if some of us are Christian or something, it's always good to have that knowledge.
I think it is really important to preserve our culture. Like throughout the ages, our grandparents have done a really good job of that, and I think we have to do the same. Save our culture and keep in touch with our roots.
hard too because nowadays our generation is like losing our culture. And so like now we don't even know how to speak the language, write our language. So it is really important to preserve our
I think it is extremely important for us to preserve our culture because we have very little. We don't have any of our histories written down. From before we went to Laos, we don't have any of that recorded. And our generations now, like a lot of them don't even speak Hmong. And it's kind of like if we don't preserve it, then we're gonna lose it. And we're gonna lose a part of ourselves that we won't ever be able to get back. And I think it's extremely important that we preserve what we have now and we pass it on to our future generations.
It is very important to preserve our own culture since nowadays our generation is kind of living off the path of from the Hmong traditional, which is killing basically our traditional and not traditional art happening.
I believe it's really important because to be Hmong, your culture is really deeply ingrained in your life, everyday life.
I believe it is actually very important to preserve culture because we are such a small population of our race that preserving our culture throughout future generations will be beneficial for us and for the future generations to know of our past and our cultures and what we did in the past.
I think it is because a lot of us, again, are losing our traditions and we are losing all the things that the elders used to teach us. As in, I think it is important to preserve our culture because people are losing traditions. Elders used to teach us like healing methods and all that, and like we don't know it anymore. And again, like the folk singing, we don't know how to sing that anymore. So yeah.
It has not, in my opinion, it has not. Because back then, Hmong was never like held within text. And so now, even though it's in text, that doesn't define what Hmong is.
I would like to see more collaboration, more teamwork, more peace. Although we don't have so much, we have each other, and we can always strive to become, we can always strive to better ourselves, to become better members of society. I would like us to be a community who understands how to be part of the greater community, to be participants, to be productive members of society.
For me, it is really important to preserve our culture. It's kind of like finding yourself again. So it's better to keep yourself than to lose it and go find yourself. It is very important that we preserve our culture, our costumes, our traditions. For the fact that we are being Americanized, our history don't have written language, written out history. Tradition. We're here in the United States, everything is written down and learned that way instead of orally. So it has to be preserved. Otherwise, our younger generations will never know our traditions, our costumes, and our culture.
And that's what Hmong means.
I finally understand what Hmong means.
Well, how about we go back to the original conversation? And, Poa, did you know that you were beautiful?
Well, what makes me beautiful?
Well, what makes you
beautiful? What makes you beautiful? Mitchell, I'll let you tell her why she's beautiful. Mitchell,
I wanted to know.